communicate during a meeting through the Google's Hangout platform, and the public has access to listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through dialing the following phone: 1-402-782-1909 and password or PIN 174872984, or by clicking on the following website address: meet.google.com/DUG-WWUE-UAP. We previously gave notice to the public of how to access the meeting using the Google Hangouts, and instructions are provided on the town website at rollinsford.nh.us. Excuse me, it's not a dot at the end. If anybody has a problem, please call 534-1049 or email at admin@rollinsford.nh.us. Okay. So tonight's meeting agenda, we're going to start off by reading the right to know law, which I just did, and roll call for attendance, including who is present in the room. So starting off with George.
Present and alone.
And Kate.
Oh, sorry. Kate, Preston, and alone.
And Caroline.
Here, present and alone.
And Paul, present and alone. I don't know if there is anybody from the public present. Okay, if there is, no.
Just the four of us.
Okay, and then we're going to discuss the Year 2 MS4 annual report items. And I'll start off with sharing the screen.
Excellent.
Ooh. I have to present. No.
You have to click on the screen that you're going to share. You actually have to click on the picture when it shows you and then click share.
Okay. Can you see it?
Yeah, it just started.
Good. This is the template which I got from the Seacoast Stormwater Coalition, and this is the second year requirements for the New Hampshire Small MS4 permit. The first one, it's a listing of all interconnected MS4s and other separate stormwater sewer systems receiving a discharge from the permitted MS4. And basically what it is I'll present it. It's basically all our outfalls, and there was 3 added. The 3 that was added was there was 2 outfalls at the intersection of Settlement and Main Street, and 1 outfall at the intersection of Mechanic and Main Street. And any questions about anything? Okay, so go on. So that's done. The second item is written procedures is required of submission of as-built drawings and ensure long-term operation and maintenance in accordance with Part 2.3.6. It says the Seacoast Coalition was being developed as part of MCM 5, post-construction site control, that we will talk in a few minutes about. It says map the separate stormwater system, and this is complete. Rollinsford has a paper map that is being upgraded in the stormwater asset management program to be completed by Hoyle and Tanner in 2020. If there's any questions, please stop me okay. And the next one, update and modified as permittees activities change to comply with the schedule and requirement. This is a ongoing thing that we're basically doing now, to be completed by June 30th, and I'll speak about some of the things that we are doing. Second page, nitrogen and phosphorus messages. This goes back to requirements in June and July 2019, and that was completed. That was done by Rollinsford sent a link to every drop counts in a June 2019 Salmon Falls newsletter. The second message concerning yard waste, residential and business, that was also done last year, and approximately 1,100 state brochures were mailed to the Rollinsford residents. And the last one is grass and fertilizer, April and May 2020. So we need to mail out these brochures. And Caroline, is that something that we can do by June 30th?
Or before even. I just need the brochure. The thing that's the hiccup with that is that we can send it to everybody in Rollinsford, but when we do that every door direct, it doesn't go to the residences outside of our contiguous. It doesn't go to Kelvin and Pinecrest and Hall Street, the areas that you can't get to from here. Those aren't covered under the Every Door Direct. But the Every Door Direct it's not only cheaper, but it's a lot easier because we don't really need to create individual labels and know who lives at what address. We don't even need to write resident at whatever address. It just goes and it's all the same. So
if we do it that way, I can always say that we mailed out the brochures to 99% of the residents, right? That were available, readily
I believe
available.
it's about 52 homes that are not in that catchment area out of about, hold on a second. So we're missing 4% of the population.
Okay. Yeah, and I can just state that we sent it out to
4% of the homes, 4% of the properties. I guess we need to be specific.
Oh,
If we're going to be specific, it's 4% of the properties.
yes. Okay.
So if you want to get me, do we have that electronically and I can send it to a printer with?
Yes, I'll get that for you. I'll look it up on the website. That's the.
Because we should be able to get that out pretty quickly.
Okay, thank you. And the next one is nitrogen and phosphorus messages. The state was supposed to have a seminar with the landscapers, but that was canceled. So I wonder that I was thinking that we can just mail them a brochure, which is part of the previous one that we spoke about, right?
Do we have another separate brochure, or can what separately are we? Would you suggest we're sending to them?
We can't train them on nothing separate, but I could, find out if it needs to be separate, or if it's the same one for the residents.
Because in theory, those those companies are within the area that would be covered by the mailing, so they would get that.
Okay, good, and I'll find out more about that. Yeah, I like to keep this as simple as possible,
Sure.
so I'll find out. Okay, the next one is pet waste residential, and this is completed. Rollinsford has written a pet waste brochure, which was sent out to all dog owners, approximately 500. There are no kennels in Rollinsford, because that was part of the commercial one. And septic maintenance residential, July 2019, and that was completed because we sent out brochures.
Mhm.
And the next one is due in June. So we need to mail out brochures, and so I'll get a count from you, Caroline, so I can see if the state has any extra brochures.
So the one we sent before, I know that we have two different brochures.
Yes.
Sent was with the cartoon man on the cover. So we probably ought to send the other one this time, just so we're not hitting them with the exact same thing I'm suggesting. And I think if we have about 800, we should be fine. If you can get 800.
Okay, if it's the state one, I can get them. If it's the EPA one, I can't.
Well, the other thing is there something electronic that we can send to the printer and send every door direct?
Yes. Oh, yes. Good idea. Okay.
It does
Find
cost
out.
something to print them, but it's far easier than stuffing envelopes and printing labels.
Yes. Okay. Good. And the next one is the next page. Bacteria impaired messaging. The coalition has not completed this yet for some reason. The same thing with the business one, and so I'll find out what to do.
That's interesting. Did they talk about like what's the holdup? Because the deadline, we're on top of that one right now.
Yes. I have to find out on this one.
Is there something specific they're held up on, or are you not aware?
Well, it's at times that they're late with this stuff. They have like another subcommittee which is late.
Interesting.
Well, it's probably also because it's a much harder deal now to get a meeting together.
Yes.
Yeah, they started doing them virtually, but it took them a while to get on with that. It took them a while to figure out to hold them virtually. Yeah.
Okay, the next one is modified ineffective messaging or distribution. The New Hampshire Stormwater Coalitions will review and discuss year one messaging to determine if it was effective or modifications are needed for future years. What they're doing is they're keeping track of the number of soil samples tested at the New Hampshire Cooperative Extension, and they're also looking at the number of hits to their pet waste brochure. So they're looking at those.
Good.
Okay. The public participation. provide the public with an opportunity for participation annually. So it's to be determined because it's, municipality specific. So I put down, we can't, I don't know if we can have a meeting. Well, I put down that Rollinsford has a volunteer stormwater committee, and the stormwater meetings are open to the public. We had a meeting, last year, but only one, one person attended from the public, except for the stormwater committee. So I was thinking about just writing that, keeping a log of what is done at the stormwater meetings and present that. Okay, any ideas about this?
I think particularly now under these circumstances, it's really hard to do anything about that really now. I
think, Paul, you're right. Just do that because that's the most you can do now. That's the most they can expect you to be doing now.
Yes.
And it is something.
How about Matt's, or what do you call it? That he showed us. Okay.
What was that?
Zach's podcast.
Oh, the
That's
podcast. Yeah. Well,
should I mention that, or?
Well, that's outreach. It's not really
Oh,
like.
that's right. Yeah, it's not participation.
But maybe there's a way to create some kind of public participation off of that, maybe by saying, listen to this and, the best response.
Oh.
Like write a response and tell us how you think this is, like how you see, stormwater in your community, or I don't know, like, what do you think about this? And write to us and tell us what you think about it and the best response. I don't know if we can win a prize or what we can do about that, but we can, encourage, people to respond in some way, but I'm not really sure. That seems kind of a far reach as far as public goes,
Yes, it is. Okay, I'll just stick with the stormwater meetings, which is a lot.
I think that's good enough, Paul.
Yeah. Next one is complete phase 1 mapping interconnections. We don't have any. Municipally owned stormwater treatment structures and open channel conveyances. We have one, which is the retention pond at Wentworth Street. So basically, I can also add that this will be updated by a grant, right, with Hoyle and Tanner.
I believe that's included in the scope.
Yes, it is. But the only retention pond, which the only structure which I know, which is not an outfall, is the retention pond. But they might be adding some swales. So I think that we're covered on this. Okay. And written procedures for dry weather and interconnection screening and sampling. It says UNH is working on developing test kits and procedures. I haven't seen it yet, and I just checked the website yesterday. So I'm just thinking about using the Central Mass SOP, standard operation procedure. It's pretty simple. And basically, we're going to follow what we're following now for the catch basins inspections, but have to add that if we find some water, then we have to take a sample and send it to Concord.
Sounds good.
Well, the only thing is you really have to have periods of dry weather.
Yes.
And
That's a really good point.
So you can't do it until you have like 10 consecutive days of no rain.
Exactly. Good idea, Mike. And then, the proposal is to do this in August.
Yep.
Or we could even do it in July if it's really dry.
Yeah, you basically got to meet the criteria that you don't have the rain, so you don't have an input that you can't define.
Yep.
Right. In other words, I think it should be part of the written procedure that after at least 10 days of dry weather, we will do this.
Yep. But then we need a contingency plan on how to, if we see water flowing out, how to take a sample and to send it to Concord.
I don't know anything about that.
Yep. But it's like okay, I hope we find nothing, but just in case that we do, let's say it's a 5% case chance, then we need a procedure what to do. So
I think you really got to wait and see what either the Mass says to do with it or what UNH is working on. That's what UNH is going to do. Because you're looking for fecal cells, most likely to see if it's a sewer tied in. And if it's somebody's cellar drain, you can at least identify that.
UNH has been making this really complicated.
Surprise.
They were going to come up with a way to, do DNA testing for human samples, and EPA says no. You have to test for all types of bacteria, animal and human. And so I don't know. Okay, if I was somebody on this board, on this, I would just say, okay, let's use the Central Mass, standard operation procedure. It's so simple. You can take that, simplify that even more, and use it.
Well, there's two parts of it, Paul. And what UNH is trying to do is see if somebody's got a sewer line tied into a storm drain. That's why they're trying to go with the DNA for human. Yeah, because people will drop dog waste into a storm drain or anything, not even think about it.
Yeah.
So that's what they were trying to differentiate. So that's why the bacteria sauce, it may not be somebody sewer tied in. It could be somebody just arbitrarily happened to drop something into the storm drain system.
Oh, I see.
But I think you're really looking for sewers tied into a storm drain. That would be 90% of what you have. And that's why they had the money for the sewer storm drain separation.
Oh, I see.
So they're not trying to make it complicated. They're trying to make it specific.
Specific on that. And so they're looking ahead. Okay, I'm just looking at the dry weather testing and to take a sample.
You know what? If Concord has the test stuff available, then the sampling techniques are pretty universal.
Yes.
You can even call who's ever going to analyze the water for what they recommend for a sampling technique.
Yes.
Well, and ultimately, I agree that we do need to find out, is it human or not human? But I wonder if the procedure would be to just do, I think it's probably cost dependent on, what our procedure will depend on the cost. Do we do a basic test that indicates that bacteria is present or not? And if it is, we do this other test that indicates that it's human or not?
And that's a very valid point. because really what you're trying to define is where did this additional water in the storm drain system come from?
Mhm.
And if it's somebody who's, got a basement, old style tied in, they're going to have to change it. They're probably hiding it because it's going to cost them money to separate.
Mhm.
So, yeah, you're going to want to know, but I think you're absolutely right. Let's just see if the water has bacteria in it, then you go further if it does.
And I hope that UNH would be suggesting that they're not just going to suggest that every water, sample is, a 6-part test for all these different things.
Yeah.
It would just make sense to me that it's broken down into stages, but I don't know what UNH is working on and in what way they're complicating this.
Well, I like to see what Central Mass SOP is, but other than that, I think Paul's got it. We'll just, if we find the water, we'll get a sample in according to who's ever going to be testing the sample, whatever technique they want us to use, and ship it to them, and we'll see what happens.
Yep. Getting in a second part of that is locate where the water is come from, like you mentioned, Mike.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Check the next catch basin up and see if you got water there until you isolate the run.
Exactly.
Right. So part of it's about testing, and part of it is just by going back and looking at, further up the line. Is it wet at the next catch basin? Is it wet at the next catch basin? And physically tracing it. So testing, but also physical tracing.
Yes.
The two things you're looking for is broken storm drain line, which could be taken in just groundwater, which won't have the bacteria, but the line might need to be replaced at some point.
Yeah, it's a good one. Good point.
Especially if it's on ledge, you're going to have the groundwater running.
Okay. Good. And then the next one is begin dry weather outfall inspections required by the end of year 3. And so I put down that we're going to complete that by the summer of 2020. Rollinsford needs to perform a dry weather outfall inspection in August 2020, but I'll change that. I'll just say the summer of 2020. And need to address what to do if water is found, and we spoke about that. Requirement is illicit discharge detection and elimination. Screening data shall be noted in the annual report. And it says, Rollinsford used the catch basin inspection procedure to locate additional outfalls. There were no illicit discharges found during the catch basin inspection procedure. So we should be covered there. And update outfall and interconnection ranking. Interconnections that they're talking about is between, our stormwater system and the states. And this is completed, and I'll show the matrix again. Whoops, wrong one. Sorry. Here's the matrix, which is ranking the outfalls. The last column is the ranking. If I can come over that, here it is. And okay. I put down that there's a couple high priorities. The rest is low. The first one, which is a high priority, is, I think it's the outfall at the Legion and the outfall by the community garden. And the second one, outfall, which is our priority, is, let's see. Oh, believe it or not, it's It's the one at Heritage Drive and Rollins Road because the water body that it's flowing to is impaired. Yeah, that's why. And the brook that I'm talking about is called Tromley Brook, and that flows into Fresh Creek. Also, the criteria is that the septic, if the septic systems in a neighborhood is more than 20 years old, it gives it a higher priority. That's another reason. That one surprised me.
Is that because most?
Excuse me, George?
Is that because most of the homes there are over 20?
Yes. Well, in fact, they're mostly over 30 years old.
Yeah.
That could change because if particularly with the outfall testing, if we find nothing, particularly when we begin the wet outfall testing, then this will change.
Because it doesn't seem to be, when you look in them storm drains, it doesn't seem like anything else is happening other than stormwater.
Well, that's right. I seriously doubt if the problem to Tromley Brook is coming from Heritage Drive. Okay, I think it's coming from agriculture.
Yeah.
The reason I'm saying that is that there's both agriculture and Tromley Brook, the water flow has decreased a lot. I'm not, there's a story, okay, in back of that, and it starts at the development of Idlehurst School on, Stackpole Road. I think that brook has taken a hit, and also some of that water was going into that brook was dissected off when they put the sewerage line down Stackpole Road. So, okay, a lot of things happened in the last 25 years that affected a water flow. Also, there's farms along there. There's a big horse farm in Somersworth too. Okay, so
Paul, if we want to check, the best thing to do is to sample where the brook comes from Somersworth into Rollinsford and compare with it as it comes out of Rollinsford to Fresh Creek, and see if the samples stay consistent.
yes.
Because that pushes the problem back to somebody else.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we can do that because the test is done above. That's right. The test is actually done above Rollins Road, almost into Somersworth. They must have taken it in the woods or something.
Well, all I'm saying is I've gone through that once before with the DES, where there was a brook that was had high silt content, and we checked it before it went by the job we were working on, and the content was coming from further upstream, so it had nothing to do with our project.
Okay.
So that gets the town out of the responsibility, that's all.
Okay, and next one is complete initial catchment delineation, GIS utility and top information acceptable. This was completed. That was part of the updating the outfall and the ranking system. And investigations of catchments associated with problem outfalls completed. Rollinsford has not, not identified any problem outfalls at this time. And investigations of catchments associated with high and low priority outfalls shall follow the ranking of outfalls updated in 2.3.47. So I put down not applicable. Because we haven't found any problems yet. And a written catchment investigation procedure completed. Rollinsford has used the South Central Mass Catchment Investigation Procedure and Form since 2019. That's the form that we're using. Since then, well, the coalition, the Seacoast Coalition, has come up with a similar type of procedure. I use the Central Mass one just to get this done because George was testing or cleaning out the catch basins. So I supplied him with something, and it's actually really good. And we all took a look at that. This is a case that the Seacoast Coalition, they were late with the procedure, and this happens a lot. I hate to say that. Is there any questions about that? In fact, one that we use is this one. Catch basin inspection and cleaning, and it talks about what to do when you clean a catch basin, and what's the inspection procedure, and it's pretty simple, but it's thorough. And I sat down with George and we wrote this, which is specific to the town of Rollinsford. For instance, we put down hire a catch basin cleaning contractor that is accompanied by a town employee. So it's specific to Rollinsford, except it covers everything. And the next one. And it says, begin addressing problem catchments by July 1, 2020. Dry weather screening is not required. So I put down not applicable. No illicit discharges were found during a cleaning and inspection of the catch basins. And next is indicators of IDD program progress. Define and describe indicators for tracking program success. And this is another one. It says refer to the IDDE templates section, which we have in CNH MS4 blog. Again, we haven't found a problem yet, so it really doesn't pertain to us. And employee training on how to ID illicit discharges. I put down Rollinsford needs to fill out a training log using the SOP for catch basins inspections. We filled out one last year's, George. Do you still have that?
Should have it on file.
Okay. I try to find it on MS4 website, the Town of Rollinsford MS4 website. I couldn't find it, but I could have been looking in the wrong spot. Do you know if that was ever a copy to a website?
I don't, Paul. I'll have to look.
Okay. So was that done? That was done last year, right, George?
Yeah, we just you. Wasn't it when you were Ed and I?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was early last year, I believe.
Yes. Okay, so that's done. Good. And the next one is designate catchments draining to bacteria or pathogen impaired segments as problem catchments or high priority. We just went over that, and that is done. Complete them. Well, that matrix with the outfalls and it was done. Oh, I read this wrong. Sorry. It says designate catchments drain into bacteria pathogen impaired segments as problem catchments or high priority. I better review this again. So they're talking about catch basins. Okay, I better take a look at this again. Right at the top of my head. Okay, so I'll review this.
Thank you, Paul.
And the next one is construction site control. It looks like it's a lot of work being done on this, but I have to find out more about this. It says modify permit language, an ordinance or other regulatory mechanism that requires the use of sediment or erosion control practices at construction site. The ordinance or regulatory mechanism shall provide that the community may, to the extent authorized by law, impose sanctions to ensure compliance with the local program. This was being finalized, but this is Gordon Leedy from the Manchester section. Rollinsford does not have an ordinance like this, and really we need help to look at all the planning documents and ordinances concerning this. Caroline, we were supposed to have, I don't know if that was completed, but a person that worked for Rochester, the planning department, who's a resident of Rollinsford, she was supposed to look at our procedures.
That has not happened, and
It's just a lot of work for her.
But-
Right?
I'll follow up with her and see. I'm meeting with her tomorrow, so that's good timing.
Oh,
I'll follow up with her. Yeah, okay.
but our problem is that we have a volunteer planning board, so we don't really have a planner like these towns and cities have.
Uh-huh.
It makes it harder.
Indeed. Yes.
The next one is construction site control. Says modified permit, written procedures for site plan review, site inspection, enforcement of sediment and erosion control measures by the committee. We have procedures that the planning board follows, but again, is it good enough now? So okay, I'm not going to go through every single one except it's comprehensive. And next one is Same thing, construction site control requirements for construction operators to implement a sediment and erosion control program. We have something like that, but is it good enough? Because things is changing to these requirements.
I think the programs that they do have, Paul, are good enough, but they're designed for subdivisions. They're not for the homeowner type of deal. And they are in place with the best management practices, which stay current because that's why they use the term best management practices.
Yes.
The issue comes the enforcement of them. It's not whether the regulations are correct. It's the enforcement that they adhere to those. And that's been the biggest bugaboo, is it the code enforcement officer who does the inspections to ensure compliance. So the thought was that if the planning board is able to, they should require an independent engineer to verify that they have met those requirements. So the requirements are in place. That was a committee previous to this one that actually came up with those and put them in place with the best management practices.
Because I noticed that happened with the Wentworth subdivision, that when a retention pond was built, that an independent engineer came in, they did a report and they gave it to the town.
Yeah, and that should be required, and you do have that in place. So that's actually in place for subdivisions.
Yes.
But it has to come up to the subdivision requirement before it's in place.
And then written procedures for site plan review. We have something in place, except is it good enough right now? Oops. And construction site control, perform pre-construction peer reviews. So, again, it's the same stuff. So, and the post-construction site control, develop, implement, and enforce a program to address post-construction stormwater runoff from all new development and redevelopment projects that disturb a minimum of 1 or more acres and discharge into the permittees MS4 at a minimum. So it goes on and on and on about the new development requirements, redevelopment, because we definitely need help. The town needs help on the construction areas.
Mm-hmm.
We have things in place, but is it good enough now? Particularly when the next one is coming up, the state wants us to start to use the Southwest Alliance model or equivalent, and it gets into a lot of detailed stuff. There has been a committee working on this for like 4 years, if not more. And post-construction site control for projects subject to ordinance required by this part, committee shall require the submission of as-built drawings within a specified time frame, not to exceed 2 years from the completion of construction projects at a minimum. This is post-construction site review, so this is something I'm not familiar with. And the new development and redevelopment program shall have procedures to ensure adequate long-term operation maintenance of stormwater management practices that remain in place after the completion of construction projects. And both Deb, Gretchen, and Jamie will evaluate potential assignment to individuals or subcommittee to prepare procedure template. This, yeah, just a lot to do in a construction part. Okay, okay, I have to skip that at this time. Okay, I'm not really an expert on that, and okay, I never served on a planning board. But the next one is MCM 6, which is operation and maintenance of parks and open spaces. Establish procedures to complete an inventory of all parks and open space where pollutants are exposed to stormwater runoff and vehicles and equipment. This is completed. The committee did a bunch of work on this. We have a good housekeeping and pollution prevention for committee-owned operation and procedures. I'll send everybody on a committee the latest one. We spent a couple meetings going through this, and we have an inventory of all the park and open spaces with the address and associated the details, and it gets into a lot of details. So I'll send it to the committee. I think this is done. Another thing that we looked at is the buildings. For instance, the town hall, police station, grade school, fire station, highway department, and the transfer station. One of the open areas is I think everything is fine except there's one thing. Vehicle washing procedures. I know that the fire department washes their trucks in front of the building, I think. And there's a catch basin alongside the road there. So we looked at getting a dedicated vehicle wash areas with the vehicle wash containment catch basin. Like the highway department, if they wash their vehicles, it drains into a gully and it's not directly into the watershed. But the fire department is a little bit different. I don't know if we're gonna still pursue spending the money for vehicle wash containment catch basin, or what? What does it have?
Really have much of a choice about it?
Yeah, but if the money isn't available.
Well, Mike, you had worked out the money, and as I recall, it was maybe something around $5,000 or within $5,000. It wasn't really huge. I don't know if you remember better.
No, but I'm sure I have the file here someplace I can find it.
Yeah, I'm sure I have it too. But I just, as I recall, when Mike did the numbers, it was not as expensive as I would have thought.
Well, that was based on George doing the work, and that was material cost, basically.
So, so Paul, I think it is something that we should budget for next year.
Okay. So I'll put that.
Understanding that given what's going on right now, it might get delayed. And in that case, there really isn't money. But I think, presenting it to the select board and trying to get it into the budget is progress. That's something.
Yes. I'm just looking at the future contingency plan, and that's based on people paying property taxes,
Well, and That's all way up in the air right now.
Yes, but I've been trained to look at contingency plans, particularly when sales fall down, and this is a similar situation, but at a municipal level, and I went through all that, unfortunately. Okay, so we can move on, but just to show people that there was a lot of work performed on this. This is a catch basin cleaning program. It goes on and on about street sweeping program, winter road maintenance. So it covers everything in detail. I think we're in really good shape on this. Stormwater treatment structures, inspection, and maintenance procedures. The only thing open on this is we need a inspection of the Wentworth Street retention pond, George. We got a report from last year, but we have to do this once a year, so we are due, right, George?
Yeah, I'll have to. There's nothing I've done alone, so I'm going to have somebody give me a quick assessment of that, whether it be the engineers or what have you.
If you have the engineer's report from last year, George, just look me up and I can walk you through it and we can go take a look.
All right,
Basically, you're just looking for silt buildup and see if any of the detention capacity has been reduced.
Right.
If it hasn't, you're fine.
All right, thank you.
Okay, good. And the last one, oh man, I forgot what this means, what this acronym means. Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan. So we have another plan that covers this. This is the development and implementation of the following municipally owned properties. Well, this covers the transfer station and the highway department, and this is really similar to this, a little bit more detail. What is needed here is perform a monthly inspections and record on a log sheet. And so I'll sit down with you, George. It's basically looking at illicit discharges. Let me see if there's one. Here it is. This is new. Facility site inspection form. So it looks at the stormwater discharge. Basically looking if you have any leaks from the diesel fuel tank or any leaks coming from where we store the used lawnmowers, the metal pile, and any possible contamination coming from the compactors that's leaking. Any leaks coming from oil cans or gas cans or vehicles parked outside.
Yeah, should be good on all of that.
So it's really basic stuff. So I can sit down with you on this, and then we can put specifics here, because at the transfer station and in the highway department, all the storm water, I think, goes where the fence is, right? Where the brush pile is.
Goes down around the back of the brush pile, and we just clean that all up.
Okay.
Is it grassed?
We retrenched it around the back of so the water runs freely now. Cleaned it up.
But does it run through any grass treatment?
Yes, it was grass originally, and the grass is going back in now.
Yeah, that's all you need. This is looking for a stormwater discharge, that it's not running silt or anything off the site. Everything on the site is contained on the site. That's what this is asking for. And if you got grass treatment swale, you've met the requirement. You just got to make sure there's no silt buildup, or there's, like Paul said, no oil or anything running off.
Right. The only time there'd be oil, like, is if when we wash the trucks, you'd probably get a little sheen, but it cleans itself up by the time it gets to where it's going. When we wash the salt and stuff off, you can get some oil off the hydraulics and stuff, but very little.
Okay. So we'll move on, and we have the map of the highway department and the transfer station, which is part of this pollution prevention plan. And then every area is numbered, and it talks about what that number means. You know, where the brush pile is, compost pile, free and appliance storage, metal scrap storage. So everything is specified, and also there's notes if there's a concrete slab, asphalt fall, or earth floor.
Actually, the metal pile is now not on a slab. It's actually in a container every time now. So that changes.
Oh, that's right. I saw that. Thank you. Okay, I'll get this modified.
Yeah, we have it. It goes right into a dumpster and it's picked up as soon as it's full. So there's less going through it by the public, and also it gets taken out a lot faster than it used to.
Okay, so there's a bin there now. Excellent. Good job on that one. Okay, so let's go back so we can. Oops, here it is. Sorry about that. So. And establish procedures to evaluate lawn maintenance and landscaping activities. That was done. I put down that the only person that needs to be trained on this is you, George, right?
What's that?
Concerning mowing and maybe sometimes you sprinkle some grass seed, but that's about it.
That's it. We don't do any fertilizer. We don't do any of that stuff. So
Excellent.
George, do you think it's sufficient for you to be trained, or does it make sense if there's going to be training for everyone in the department to get training?
try that again.
Do you think it's sufficient for you to be the only person who is trained, or do you think if there's going to be training that it makes sense to train everybody in the department all at once?
Oh yeah, that would absolutely make more sense.
Okay. Paul, that might be better because while George is the department head, he's not always the person who does the mowing.
Okay, so we need a training log. Okay. And in procedures is specific enough about not to blow grass clippings into the catch basins. So we can just take a look at that and train people to that. Should be easy.
Well, where we mow, there isn't any, so we're good.
Oh, that's right. It's mulching. That's right. I got that down. And then also use when you do the weed whacker, you have a blower that you blow it back into the lawn, right?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, I think I got that written down. Next one, establish procedures for management of trash containers at parks and for placing signage in areas concerning proper disposal of sign waste. This is done because we don't have trash containers except for one at the school.
Correct. There's nothing that we have to deal with.
Yep. And the signage, we did that already.
It's all up.
Yep. And establish procedures to address waterfall. We don't have a waterfall problem at the present time, right?
That I'm aware of.
And establish procedures to address erosion or poor vegetative cover. I put down completed. All we basically do is any major work done is hired out to a licensed contractor, except for some mild seeding, right? Some minor seeding, grass seeding.
Yeah, we don't seed unless we have an area like that we had done a ditch work or something like that. So we don't do much seeding.
Okay, I'll put down it's only small area seeding done. Okay. And evaluate the use and storage and disposal of petroleum products and other stormwater pollutants. We spoke about that because waste oil is delivered to the guy in Rollinsford. I forgot the garage. Right, George? So whenever you do a oil change or have some extra waste oil, you bring it to the guy that burns
waste oil 55-gallon drum that I believe Rogers uses. We haven't used it because most of our trucks are done outside the company.
Okay.
We'll do an oil change on these small equipment and stuff like that, but it's not. We don't get a lot of oil, so it's not a case that we're storing a. We got a 55-gallon drum that's been there since I've been there. It's never been emptied, so it's not a lot of oil being transferred.
Okay. So you have a 55-gallon drum for the waste oil, and when it's full, you bring it to Rogers?
Yeah, I believe that's who takes it, yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I forgot the name. Now it rings a bell. Okay. And if you have any chemicals, then you bring it, I assume to Dover, right, on their waste collection day, or?
Correct.
Good. And then provide employee training. This is the one that threw me off because I thought we sent people away for this training, except we don't, right? What is the training that the people at the transfer station get, for instance?
We go to the transfer station. People go to there's meetings every month on updates and stuff at the transfer station. They have to take a class every year, so many hours a year to go be licensed to be working at the transfer station.
Okay. And how about the highway department?
As training on there's no specific training for us other than like the Green Pro classes and stuff like that. When they come up, we go for refreshments.
Yes. Okay. We might have to develop something just to train people if there's a minor oil spill, what to do if there's a hydraulic spill. I think someplace we have written down if there's a major spill that you call up.
Right. There's companies that call for that.
Yes, and also, I forgot. Clean Harbors. Okay, I think if we train Ed to that should be fine. We just
Paul,
need a training
We're
log.
all firefighters and we've been through all these trainings.
Yeah, I know that, and so this is difficult because they still need a training log. Okay, unless you have the firefighter training log, right? That'd be fine.
Yeah, these guys are they're still on the fire department, so they still have their annual training. So most of them are up to date.
Oh, thank you. So then on a training log, we can just put down that this guy had firefighting training on such and such a day, right?
Correct.
Excellent. Thank you, George. I'll sit down with you on this. That should be easy. Now I'm sure that spill prevention plans are in place, and we went through this. This was done as we spoke about. If there's a major spill, then this number that's called, or clean harbors is called. I remember this. So that's done. Develop management procedures for dumpsters and other waste management equipment. This does not pertain to us. We don't have any dumpsters, because that talks about dumpsters other than the transfer station. So let's move on here. Sweep parking lots and keep areas surrounding facilities clean and reduce runoff, pollutants. This is completed. We documented what was done. Establish procedures for the storage of permitted vehicles. Completed. Vehicles are stored inside. Evaluate fueling areas owned by the permittee. The only thing we have is a diesel tank outside.
No, diesel tank inside.
Inside. Well, that's right, because I changed it from outside inside, and so that's done. All the gas, vehicles are filled at gasoline stations. And we talked about this already. Establish procedures to ensure that vehicle wash waters are not discharged to municipal stormwater system. That's been covered. And if a chloride TMDL, we don't have one. Well, it's only for London, Derry, Salem, and Wyndham. Establish a written program detailing activities, procedures the permittee will implement so that MS4 infrastructure is maintained in a timely manner. This is something that it's an ongoing program that is part of this pollution prevention plan. And conduct routine inspections and clean and maintenance of catch basins. We do that, and that's been covered already. Establish and implement procedures for sweeping or cleaning streets and permittee-owned parking lots. That is done, and we have a log for that. We have a log for 2019. Sweeping and cleaning streets, report number of miles clean and volume of mass. That is done. Proper storage or catch basins cleanings. Oops, wait, hold it. Sweeping and cleaning streets. The state wants us to do this twice a year still.
Oh, I thought that once that we did it and we proved that we're not really collecting anything, that would be the end of that. That it would be
Yes, that's right. So, okay, good idea. I'll put that in here. Okay, I'll look up the logs and I'll put down the amount that was done last year, and saying that going forward, beginning in 2020, we will only sweep once a year.
Yeah, I just had the road swept within about a month, and we did not pick up very much.
So if we just quantify it, say that we're not getting any or no growth in this item, then I think you're covered.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
you're right. Right.
George, but the last time that the streets were swept, was it last fall or this year, this spring?
This spring. I didn't do the form yet.
Okay, so if you give that to me,
There's less than 4 yards of material picked up. That's including leaves and stuff from over the winter.
great, and I'll do it, and I'll complete that like Mike says. Okay, good. I have to just write that down. Give me a second. So get the report from you. Get the spring sweeping report. Okay. And proper storage of catch basins, cleanings, and street sweepings prior to disposal, reuse. Yeah, we completed that, and we basically said that we store that at the transfer station.
Correct.
It is dried out and stored.
It's correct.
Okay. And we do it in such a way it's not close to any drainage. Well, it's not close to any stormwater drainage gullies or anything.
No, it's away from the drainage, where the water runs off.
Yep. And establish procedures and implement procedures for winter road maintenance. That is done. Do we comply to the snow? I forgot the name of it. Snow Pro program.
Green Snow Pro, yeah.
Green Snow Pro. And also, all that salt is covered. The primary salt pile is covered in a shed, and the secondary one, which is for residential use, is also covered. So,
Correct.
Establish and implement inspection and maintenance frequencies procedures for stormwater drain systems and for all stormwater treatment structures. So we talked about this, retention ponds. We do the inspections of the catch basins once a year, so we should be covered. Storm drain systems and treatment structures, excluding catch basins inspected, and we have minimum, well, that covers, I think, retention ponds, yes, and we'll be getting that done, and that was done last year. We just have to complete this in 2020. Report status of inventory required by this partner, status of O&M programs for facilities activities and maintenance activities with both. Yeah, we spoke about this. We report status of inventory. We have all the parks and all the buildings that are, listed. We went through this. So also we have a map of the transfer station and the highway department with all the inventory of the different sections. So that's done. Develop and fully implement a stormwater pollution prevention plan for each of the community-owned operated facilities. We did that. Since the highway department and transfer stations are co-located, we have, one plan, and that meets the requirements. Says inspect all areas exposed to stormwater and all stormwater control measures at least once per calendar quarter. Oh, I said once a month, George. I was wrong. It's once a quarter, and that's the inspection form that we just spoke about illicit discharges at the transfer station and our highway department.
Mhm. All right.
And yes, George?
No, I'm just agreeing with you.
Oh, okay, good. And the permittee shall report the findings from the site inspections in the annual report, which we'll do, which is, so we have to get this done by June 30th. The permittee shall annually self-evaluate its compliance with the terms and conditions of this permit and maintain documentation. Yeah, we're doing this with the stormwater meetings, and the documentation is in the stormwater meeting minutes. And the committee shall include any other stormwater, water quality, receiving water data from any study conducted during the reporting period in the annual report. It is nothing new, new to report on this. There has not been any additional water quality, receiving water data from the state. And requirements of approved TMDLs. Chloride reduction plan may include annual training requirement. So I put down, this is completed. This is a volunteer program in Rollinsford, NHDS and NPDS outreach coordinator, SALT program coordinator is Deb Luzel. So we're doing that. And track the amount of salt applied to all municipal owned and maintained surfaces, and reporting salt use using the UNH 2T2 online tool. And this is done, and George is doing this. Right, George?
Correct.
And the next one is legal analysis for lake phosphorus. We don't have any. And Appendix H, we are included. Any structural BMPs, best management practices listed in attachment to Appendix F installed in the regulated area by the permitting agent shall be tracked, and permitting shall estimate the nitrogen removal by the PMP consistent with attachment 3. This is being worked on by UNH. I don't know if we have any best management practices yet, which is removing nitrogen. I'm not sure on that.
Like what, so nitrogen's a whole other separate permit. So I'm not sure why they're mentioning nitrogen here, because nitrogen's a whole other permit.
Well, it's part of Appendix H, and our permit involves nitrogen and phosphorus and bacteria, right? Those three.
Yeah, I suppose.
And following the salt reduction plan does not pertain to us. We're not listed. And it's great that we have a salt reduction program, because we don't want to be listed on here. And the same thing, track the amount of salt applied. We're doing that under a volunteer effort. And develop the year 2 annual report template. That is being done by the EPA. So, and any questions about anything?
I did get a hold of a guy with a camera, and it's not going to be as expensive as we expected. So
excellent.
to do what we got to do is probably going to be a couple $100. So
Wow. Well, that's great.
that's the one at the Legion. That's not counting going in further. I can see what its hourly rate will be for anything longer than that. Or if his camera can do what we need to do further.
Can you find that out, George? Because it would be better while we have him and the cameras there that we scope the whole thing.
Yeah, I'll talk with him again. He's a little busy right now too. So
Thank you, George.
Caroline, has John Jackman come up with the latest documentation of this proposal?
I thought I shared that with the group. Hold on just a minute here. Okay, so John Jackman shared with me and someone at the state named Catherine Zink.
Yes.
He shared, so John shared with the two of us his revisions. She commented that she had some questions, but overall it seemed good. But then John was going to try to find somebody else to help respond to her comments. He's going to make some last minute edits. So here we go. I'm going to send these edits to you all. So this committee should really review this scope and approve this scope at the committee so that we can recommend to the select board that they approve it and sign it.
Okay, if you could send that to us.
Yep, I'm sending it now.
Great. And should we meet in a couple weeks about this?
Yeah, I think so. Agree too, because we need to board no to sign this contract. So they're meeting on June 1st, the select board, and so that's Monday. I'm gonna meet that obviously, but if we could have a recommendation to the select board so they could approve it on June 15th, that would be really good.
Okay, so let's see the calendar time on that. So should we meet on June the 10th? How is June the 10th?
That's great. That works.
Okay,
Is
how
there
does
no
you feel about that?
I'll be all set with that one.
Hello, Zach. I didn't see you there. You get help.
I'm good
Oh,
with that.
man, be big.
Okay.
So is June the 10th good for you?
Yeah, no, that works great. As far as I know, there's no other meetings just yet, so that's fine.
And Mike?
Yeah, that works for me.
And a question I have for the group, is there any way I can improve these meetings? I'm not sure if you're seeing, literature or the screens. Is things looking good so far? Or?
Sharing the screen, I think, is great.
And would it help the group if I sent you all the rest of the documentation which I covered, or put it on the town website?
I think whatever we can get on the website is helpful. I just created that meeting and sent you all invitations to the June 10th meeting, so I wouldn't forget, and now you have it in your inbox. I think whatever we can do to keep people informed is helpful.
Yes.
So, I think information ahead of time is helpful, and if people have a chance to review it, that's great, and hopefully they do. But if not, then you're sharing your screen, and that's good too.
because unfortunately, a lot of these regulations and can be kind of dry and boring, and I apologize, but it's the nature of the beast.
It's not you, Paul. It's not you.
Okay, I wish I could share pictures or paintings.
Something a little more interesting. But thank you, Paul. You've done a lot of work on this. Thank you for updating it.
You're welcome. Well, the group is very, very supportive too. Well, good night, everybody.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you all.
You're welcome.
Thank-
Yep. Bye now.
Yep.